Okay, Ron.
Okay. So, kitchen. All the appliances were in great shape. They're all newer. Dishwasher worked fine. The oven worked fine. All your burners came on in the stove. The microwave's working fine. The garbage disposal. All that looked great. The only problem I had in here really is the faucet. Hot water flow is really low. I'll show you the difference. Let me just pull up my thing here. This is the only spot that there's a problem. Everything else has good hot water flow.
Okay.
So it's really something at this fixture. And the valves underneath are ball valves. They're not gate valves. So it's all the way open. So something's happening in here that's causing that restriction, or in here. So it should be a pretty minor fix, but there is some low flow there. Okay. That was all I had in the kitchen. The dining area looked good. There is condensation in the dual pane windows, which basically means the window has 2 panes of glass. They pump a gas inside the glass, and that keeps it from having any moisture. If the gas escapes and air gets in, then it creates moisture and condensation, and that's why it looks kind of cloudy. So maybe a little hard to see on the video, but there's basically moisture in between these panes of glass. Very common, but the really only fix for it is to replace the glass or the window itself. Most of the windows are condensated here, which is not uncommon. But some of them you can see like that is pretty obvious. Some of them there's spots. I noted them everywhere I saw it.
Okay.
Okay, but there's a handful of those. Family room looked good. Didn't really have any problems in here. The half bath. There is a leak, 2 leaks in the half bath. One is underneath the sink. It's dripping out of the stopper, and there's basically just a little bit of moisture when you're running water landing on the cabinet. Okay, so there's a stopper fitting there that needs to be tightened. I'm not really sure where the toilet's leaking from, but there's water sitting on the floor there. It's kind of hard to see, but without the light you might be able to tell. I think it's coming out of the base of the toilet.
Yeah.
But there's definitely sitting water there. So a plumber just needs to look at the drain and look at the toilet. They may have to lift the toilet up and replace the wax ring. None of that's a big deal, but that might be what they need to do. Entry, living room, same stuff. Floors, walls, and ceilings look really good. There's some common cracks on the ceilings. There's some in the walls too. It's just where drywall joints are popping. It's common. I see it everywhere, so I don't have a problem with it. Just want to point it out. This is the worst case scenario for a condensated window, just to give you guys an idea of what it would look like when it gets really bad. Very common. Entry was fine. Dining room. The fireplace looked good. Didn't have any problem with the fireplace. So we can go ahead and go through the laundry to the garage. The laundry room floors have some unevenness. It kind of dips down in here from settling. I think this is probably happened a while ago because none of this is really cracked or anything, or you can see some gaps at the baseboard down there. I'm not concerned with it structurally, just want to point it out. There's a gas line and a 220 volt for the dryer, so either one for the dryer would be good. Gas is less expensive to run, so it's better to have a gas dryer. But if you guys have an electric dryer, it can hook up to the 220. Everything else looks fine there. This is a fire door. It has a self-closer. It should slam shut and latch. It almost does. It just needs to be adjusted so that it does completely. I'll probably do it now that we're watching it. See how it kind of just sticks.
Right.
So it needs to have some adjustments so that it will actually latch.
Right.
Once that's latched, as long as all the drywall in here is intact, it's going to be fire rated.
This actually is okay. This is just plywood. So I'm change that.
I thought there was a hole in the drywall, but that's not a firewall, so that's fine. Real quick, while we're right here, the main plumbing shutoff is right there, and that's where you turn off all the water. The pressure was 60 psi. It's all copper. Didn't have any problem with that. The door works fine. The garage door works great. There's safety reverse I-beams at the base that you can cross, and the door will go back up in case a kid or a pet is underneath there. Your water heater and the heater are both in here. Heater's new, air conditioning's new. It all looks great. I have no problem with the heat or the AC or it's all new. The ducting in the attic, everything's been replaced. The air conditioning dropped to more than 14 degrees. The burner looks great. You change your filter down here. Okay, it's got a new filter in there already. It has the size on it. You want to do that twice a year. The water heater also looks pretty good. Strapped for earthquake. Don't really have any problems with the tank. If you step back a little bit, you can see the vent pipe up top is disconnected.
Okay.
Okay, that just needs to be reseated on there. It's an easy fix, but right now it's not going to work properly. So it's a safety hazard because combustible gases go through that. But it's an easy fix.
Okay.
Okay, we can take a quick walk around the outside. I had the sprinklers on. They were fine. There's some cracks in the concrete in a few areas. That's normal. There's the main panel right here for the electrical. That all looks really good. 200 amp main breaker. This is the breaker. They used to have a spa, and in the back there's some exposed wiring, and I think it's connected to this breaker, so that wiring in the back should just be removed. But the breaker's off right now, so there's no power to it. That was for a spa that used to be back there. Gas meter looks great. This is the shutoff valve for the gas meter. So you just put a wrench on this and spin it a quarter turn, gas would be off. So you can shut the gas off here, water off in the garage, electrical off in the panel. It's all kind of in this corner of the house.
Did you see any cracks that is not considered normal?
No, I mean, I call them common if they look like this. If they're big enough to put a quarter in, I call them expansive.
Like this one?
Yeah, that could be considered expansive. There's even, I think, one that's a little bit bigger than that. It's not uncommon for the age, but what we mean by expansive is that it's going to continue to get bigger over time, so it's a good idea to have them filled. I didn't see any cracks anywhere that concerned me structurally with the property.
Okay.
There's also some areas where you could have a trip hazard, things that are like lifting, so we write that up too. This is the AC, new, looks great. See, like this would be considered an expansive crack. But, you know, on an older patio slab, the patio slab's a thinner pour than the foundation slab. Even the foundation slab has cracks in it. It's just the way concrete is. It's the nature of concrete. So the wood fence all the way around is deteriorated and loose and leaning in some sections. It's an old wood fence. They've rebraced it in a couple areas. It needs to be replaced eventually. It can still stay the way it is for probably a little while, but it's getting close to being done for. There used to be a patio cover here. That's why this is where they have the spa probably. That wiring is right here. Now they've got it pretty protected. They've got cement in here and plastic around it, so that's good. But when you pull this off, and then it's taped, there's wiring right here, and that's connected to that breaker in the panel. So that should just be removed, unless there's going to be a spa ever added. Then it would be nice that that's already there. That's pretty much it on the outside.
What about this right here?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not really sure what this is. This probably is the same thing. It's okay. Probably is the same thing. Something to do with the spa. But what's weird is there's nothing in it. It almost looks like it's just this little piece stuck in here. But my guess was this was running some kind of wiring. Could be wiring for the spa. Could have been like a low voltage wire. I really don't know what the heck that thing was there for. But right now it's not doing anything. So it could be chipped out.
Okay.
So that's a little bit weird. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. This is a gas stub for a barbecue. If you want to do natural gas on a barbecue, it's available. I think they have their barbecue over here.
Yeah. How do you know?
Just a wild guess.
Right.
So they were just using a tank probably, but there is a stub for that. Okay, there's a few holes in the stucco where they were running cable through for satellite. I don't have a problem with it. Pointing it out. It should be patched. And as far as the roof goes, the roof's in great shape. There is a few little maintenance that can be done. There's one little cracked tile on the front slope. There's a couple that look like they might be sliding out of place. But there's no water stains in the attic. There's no water stains in the property. This whole entire slope I can see, it has no cracked tiles on it. So the only thing I couldn't see was the back slope, or the, I guess it would be the right side slope because of how high it is. And a roofer could get up there and look at that too. But if anything, it's very minor maintenance on the roof. So it looks great. This is how a roof those last 20 to 30 or 25 to 30 years. See, they added this stuff because the fence getting ready to fall over. It's a shared fence, so I don't know if the association has anything to do with these or anything like that, but it's worth looking into. Also, the planter walls, there's some loose bricks that are moving around a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
That's everything outside. Inside, we went over pretty much downstairs. There's a couple things upstairs we can look at. The rail spacing is wider than 4 inches. That's the way they built these houses, but now the new code is 4 inches so that kids can't put their heads through. It's something that's okay because it's the way it was built, but if there are little kids in the house, everyone should be aware of that. Sometimes they put like a lattice or something in there to prevent that from being a problem. Master looks great. Again, some condensated windows. The attic access is in the closet. I want to just get that on film. And the attic looks fine. So I got up in there and looked around. It's all rafters and plywood and just ducting and insulation basically. And it looks fine. There is a Whirlpool tub in the master. I filled it up, turned it on, it works fine. These tubs have an access usually to get to the motor. And then sometimes that's where the GFI is. Other times the GFI is in the closet or somewhere in the bathroom. It's not this GFI. This is protecting just the outlet and the lights. But, or actually I don't think it's doing the lights, just the outlet itself. But this should have its own dedicated GFCI. Normally I would find it in the access. I don't see an access anywhere. There's no access in the front here. This is all tiled. Sometimes you can see it in the cabinet, but the cabinet's not really close enough. There would probably be a good way to get to it back here, but there's no access there. And I did not see any access in the rear, although now that I'm looking out this window, I'm wondering, we'll take one more look outside to make sure, but if there's not an access to get into, then we need to know where the access is or have one installed eventually, and then verify that it has its own GFCI outlet. So just a couple things, but it did work fine. This is a little bit loose. This is a little bit loose. Okay, I think the toilet in here is loose. See how that moves? Should be tightened to the floor, but the bolts, that's what moving. Didn't quite slide that the first time. But it should just be tightened. The same thing, the wax ring could come loose.
Okay.
Shower was fine. Okay, so that's everything in here. Smoke detectors were all working. You got them in the bedrooms and halls. This hall bathroom, let me just look at my notes because I don't think I had much in there. Oh, the one thing that this does that's a little bit goofy is the handle spins, so you can turn on the water and eventually you should stop, but it turns itself off again and it just keeps doing that, which means the little stop and then turn it off, you kind of have to get it in the perfect spot, which just means the little stopper in there is missing now, damaged, so probably a new handle at some point. There was also a rust stain underneath the toilet. I couldn't get any moisture or a leak to happen, so it might be something old, but when I see a rust stain, you know, it leads me to believe that there's something leaking. So something to keep an eye on. There's a little crack in this tile here, just kind of cosmetic.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's everything. Let's just double check for that access. It might be right out here, actually. Yeah, there's no access for the tub. So that's the only thing to really figure out what's going on with that, because it's missing that access. It might have had one in the back before, but no longer. Okay.